Welcome to Live Interactive English. Hello everyone, I'm Karen.
And I'm Matt. And today we're looking at an article called Mirages, Tricks of the Light.
Ooh, mirages, tricks of the light. You know, there's so many things in nature that is so wonderful, and it makes you wonder, how did it happen, right?
Some of the other ways that we see different kinds of light in nature that cause us to have wonder, things like rainbow.
Oh, I love rainbows. But yeah, I also wonder about that too. And then, have you ever seen the Northern Lights? I mean, you're from Canada too, right?
I have never seen the Northern Lights.
Actually, I haven't either.
I'm planning to go with my family this year, actually, in winter.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Oh, I've always wanted to see the Northern Lights. It looks so beautiful in the sky. It's kind of green. It's so magical. What are some other things we can see in nature?
Another really neat light phenomenon in nature is bioluminescence or phytoplankton. So little animals that create light in the sea. Some people know them as blue tears.
They kind of glow in the dark, right?
That's right. They glow. They create their own light, and they make the ocean look very beautiful.
I know you can actually see that in Matsu.
That's right. I haven't actually gone to see it, but I've seen the pictures, and it looks very beautiful. I think it's something that you can make a special trip to go see.
Wow, there's so many wonderful things that we can see in nature. But today, we're going to be looking at mirages. That's pretty cool.
I think it should be pretty cool. We're going to find out how they work and what they are when we come back after this.
All right.
Why do mirages often appear blue? A. They occur when blue water pools in the desert. B. They make the sky look like it is on the ground. C. They are areas of cold air that appear blue. D. They consist of areas with lots of blue sand. You may have heard stories of travelers crossing a desert and spotting a large pool of water in the distance. However, as they approach, they find that the water has disappeared. Where did it go? Well, that wasn't water. It was a mirage. Mirages are nature's way of playing tricks on our eyes. To understand them, we need to know how light travels. Light moves faster through less dense mediums like air than through denser mediums like water. Importantly, hot air is less dense than cold air. On a hot day in the desert, the ground heats up, which creates a layer of hot air just above it. So, when light travels through cold air into this layer of hot air, it speeds up and changes direction.
Hello everyone, we're going to get into our article, Mirages, Tricks of the Light.
I can't wait! How fascinating. Okay, but before we begin, we have a question for everyone. And the question is, why do mirages often appear blue? Now, we have a few answers for you to choose from, but you can answer this question after you listen to our article. So what is option A?
A is, they occur when blue water pools in the desert.
And B, they make the sky look like it is on the ground.
Okay, and C, they are areas of cold air that appear blue.
And D, they consist of areas with lots of blue sand. Okay, so we are going to begin to learn about mirages.
All right. You may have heard stories of travelers crossing a desert and spotting a large pool of water in the distance.
That's what I think of when I think of mirages. You know, people so thirsty, and then they're in the desert, and then all of a sudden they see this pool of water in the desert. When they run over, oh no, it's just sand.
I always think of the cartoons where they could see like a swimming pool or something, and they
Yes.
run over and they dive in and they're swimming in the pool, and then all of a sudden they realize they're
just
actually
sand.
swimming in the sand, and then they have a mouthful of sand. So-
That's right. I think a lot of people would think about the same thing when they think of mirages, right?
That's right. So you may have heard of stories of travelers walking in the desert. Traveler is someone who travels. Just like we can add ER to someone who drives is a driver, someone who runs is a runner, someone who travels is a traveler. So when they're traveling in the desert, they might see a mirage. So for example, as he was driving, he saw a traveler by the side of the road.
Okay. Well, however, as they approach, they find that the water has disappeared. Where did it go? Well, that wasn't water. It was a mirage. That's what we're talking about. Sometimes we would see that. We would think that it is water, but it's actually not there. That's kind of weird. It's playing like a trick on our mind.
Right. So sometimes I think maybe it won't just disappear, but as you get closer, it just continues to move further and further away. So you never actually get closer to the mirage. It just keeps moving ahead of you. Mirages are nature's way of playing tricks on our eyes. To understand them, we need to know how light travels. Light moves faster through less dense mediums, like air, than through denser mediums like water. Importantly, hot air is less dense than cold air.
Okay. Hot air is less dense than cold air. And we're looking at this word here, dense, and that is an adjective. So in general, the word means packed tight and gives the sense that something is difficult to get through. So, for example, oil is less dense than water.
Okay, so yeah, usually when something is less dense, it will rise up above the other thing. Like when you mix oil and water, oil will float to the top. And when there's hot air and cold air, usually the hot air, which is less dense, will rise. On a hot day in the desert, the ground heats up, which creates a layer of hot air just above it. So when light travels through cold air into this layer of hot air, it speeds up and changes direction.
Changes directions. Okay. So we know direction is maybe go this way and then go in the other way, right?
So the light's coming
Make a turn.
down, it's making a turn, it's changing direction and not going through that layer.
Okay. I never knew there's science behind mirage.
You never knew there was any science.
No, I was just thinking, it's just cartoon. It's just your mind that is, thinking or making things up.
Just when you're that thirsty, you just want water that much, you just start thinking of water.
Exactly, but little did I know. There's so much to learn. How about let's take a quick break and we'll come back to learn more.
Hello， 大家好，我是 Hanny。同学们也许有听过类似的故事，就是穿越沙漠的旅人看到远方有一大片的水，然而当他们走靠近的时候，却发现水消失了。其实那不是水，而是海市蜃楼。我们补充一下 ，mirage 这个名词就表示海市蜃楼或是幻景、幻象、妄想。那到底海市蜃楼是怎么来的呢？其实海市蜃楼是大自然捉弄我们眼睛的方式。那要了解这个现象呢，我们得知道光线是如何前进的。光线在密度比较小的介质中，它的移动速度呢，会比在密度比较大的介质中还要快。那么热空气的密度比冷空气小。而在沙漠炎热的一天当中，这个地面温度会上升，然后在上方就会形成一层热空气。因此呢，当这个光线穿越冷空气进入到这一层热空气的时候，它就会加速并且改变方向。我们来看单字 traveler 就是旅人、旅客。那么 dense 它是形容密度大的或是形容浓密的、密集的。它的名词是 density 就可以表达密度或是浓度。好，这边两个重点，我们进入文法时间。我们来看第一个重点是 play a trick on somebody or something， 这是表达使什么困惑、扰乱、捉弄什么什么。那么名词 trick 它是指说骗局或是诡计，也可以指让某人产生错乱或是跟实际情况不同的事物。Play a trick 或是用复数形 play tricks 后面接 on somebody 或是 on something， 这是指说捉弄什么、对什么恶作剧，或是表达让什么产生困惑、错乱。举例来说 ，Your brain can play tricks on you sometimes， 你的大脑有时会捉弄你。好，那第二重点是 WH 疑问词引导名词子句。WH 疑问词像 what、where、why、when、who、which、how 所引导的名词子句可以当主词、受词或者是补语用。那当主词的话，要记得后面搭配的动词要用单数型。例如I don't know how he got my phone number. 我不知道他怎么会有我的电话号码。那名词子句 how he got my phone number 是当受词，也就是当 know 的受词。再看一个例句是 How they met was hilarious. 他们相遇的方式很爆笑。那名词子句 how they met 是当主词用，所以我们后面搭配了单数动词 was。介华课文中。
Now, here's the cool part. If the difference in temperature between the hot and cold air is significant enough, the light will bend upward and never hit the ground. Instead, it will travel directly into our eyes. So even though we are looking at the ground, we are actually seeing an image of the sky. And on a flat surface like desert sand, this image resembles a pool of blue water. Incredible!
Welcome back. We are continuing to learn about mirages. You know, when you're in some place that's very hot and it looks like there's water in the distance, but no matter how hard you try to get to that water, you can never reach it or it's disappeared when you get to the place.
That's right. So how does it really work?
Okay, so as we've learned, light travels faster through less dense mediums than it does through high density mediums. So when it travels through hot air, which is less dense than cold air, it travels faster. So a mirage is caused when there is a layer of hot air above the surface of the ground with a layer of cold air above it. So when the light passes through the cold air and into the hot air, it speeds up and changes directions.
That's right. Okay. Well, let's continue. Now, here's the cool part. If the difference in temperature between the hot and cold air is significant enough, that means big enough. The difference between the temperature is big enough, is significant enough. The light will bend upward and never hit the ground. So remember how you said the light will change direction, right? So we're talking about it changes direction and it will bend upward. So it will go up, right?
So it's changing to go upward in the direction or moving in the direction to a higher point or higher level. In this case, moving up towards the sky.
That's right.
So when it's completely changed directions, and we would have an opposite, which would be downward if something is traveling in the direction of down.
And then we're also looking at this word significant, and that is an adjective. So significant basically just means meaningful, important. It also refers to the meaning of something. So for example, a significant number of people attended the event. So right here, we're talking about quite a number of people, not just a few, a significant number. You have like a bigger number, right?
Meaning a lot of people, or maybe more than what you would typically think.
Exactly.
Instead, it will travel directly into our eyes. So that's the light is turning upward and not hitting the ground, but instead going right into our eyes. So even though we are looking at the ground, we are actually seeing an image of the sky.
Oh, so that's how it works.
And on a flat surface like desert sand, this image resembles a pool of blue water. Incredible.
So the blue water is actually the image of the sky because the sky is blue, right?
That's right. So when you think you're seeing something blue that looks kind of like water, it's just because we're seeing the sky on the ground.
Ah, okay.
So we have a word there which is to resemble. Resemble is a verb and it just means to look a lot like something, to look very similar to something else. So in that case, the image of the sky on the ground resembles or looks like blue water. Another example, her smile resembles that of her father. So her smile looks a lot like her father's smile.
So coming back to the question that we started, it says, why do mirages often appear blue, right? So the answer would be...
The answer was B. They make the sky look like it is on the ground.
That's right. Did you guys get it right? Okay, and we also have a what do you think question. So let me ask you, Matt, have you ever seen a mirage?
Yeah, I think they're quite common to see in the summer, especially on a hot road.
On a hot road, you can see mirages too?
So on a hot day, when on the black surface of the road gets very hot, and it's a lot hotter than the air above it, and so when you're driving, especially on a long road where you can see very far ahead of you, you can see what kind of looks like water in the distance.
So cool. So I guess in North America, and if you are taking a road trip where you can see really, really far ahead without any cars in the way. So it's very easy for you to see mirages on a hot summer day.
That's right. On a hot summer day, driving a car with your air conditioning on so it's cool inside, you can see way off in the distance, a mirage.
That is pretty cool. Okay, next time I go back to Canada, that's what I'm gonna look for.
Okay, and maybe you can try to go swimming in that mirage.
Don't think I'm gonna do that. Okay, that's all for today, everyone. And thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
刚刚说光线在密度比较小的介质中移动的速度比较快，那么热空气的密度比冷空气小，所以当这个光线穿越冷空气再进入热空气时，它就会加速并且改变方向。那如果冷热空气之间的温差够显著的话，光线会往上方弯曲，不会到达地面，那它会直接进入到我们眼睛。好，所以当我们看着地面呢，其实看到的是天空的影像。那在沙漠之类的平坦表面上，这个影像看起来就会像一滩蓝色的水，很不可思议吧？好，我们最后来看单字 significant， 它是形容显著的、数量相当大的，或是形容重要的。resemble 是动词，表示与什么相像、类似。那文中用到 upward 来表达向上、上升，它是个副词。那相反的，如果我们用 downward 就可以表达向下的意思咯。好，那以上是今天的讲解，同学别走开，马上回来哦。
Why do mirages often appear blue? A. They occur when blue water pools in the desert. B. They make the sky look like it is on the ground. C. They are areas of cold air that appear blue. D. They consist of areas with lots of blue sand. You may have heard stories of travelers crossing a desert and spotting a large pool of water in the distance. However, as they approach, they find that the water has disappeared. Where did it go? Well, that wasn't water. It was a mirage. Mirages are nature's way of playing tricks on our eyes. To understand them, we need to know how light travels. Light moves faster through less dense mediums like air than through denser mediums like water. Importantly, hot air is less dense than cold air. On a hot day in the desert, the ground heats up, which creates a layer of hot air just above it. So, when light travels through cold air into this layer of hot air, it speeds up and changes direction. Now, here's the cool part. If the difference in temperature between the hot and cold air is significant enough, the light will bend upward and never hit the ground. Instead, it will travel directly into our eyes. So even though we are looking at the ground, we are actually seeing an image of the sky. And on a flat surface like desert sand, this image resembles a pool of blue water. Incredible!
Hello, today we are looking at an introduction to the Kaohsiung Main Public Library. So not only do they have books there, but they have lots of multifunctional spaces. So when we say something is multifunctional, it means that it has many or more than at least one function. So multi means multiple, more than one. And functional is function, is like what you can do. It's what this thing can do. So when we put the word together, multifunctional, we know that you can use this space for a lot of different things. So why don't we take a look? The Kaohsiung Main Public Library is in Asia New Bay area. Visitors can take the MRT or LRT to go there. This library is a large green building. There are many trees and plants at the building. There is also a garden on the rooftop. The library has many books and multifunctional spaces. The Kaohsiung Main Public Library is an excellent green reading place. Wow, this place not only is a place where you can learn, but go for a good time. I even heard from a friend that there is a movie theater there. So I'm definitely going to check it out next time I'm in Kaohsiung.